Hey guys, it's Leslie from Sweet Owl Farms. Today we wanted to give you a comprehensive list of the items that we use in our drip systems. We have two main systems that we use here at the farm and also in our gardens. The first one that we use is from a faucet and connecting a timer like this to the faucet, and then the second one is a conversion from a sprinkler line that's already existing into drip irrigation. We have some that are totally converted into drip irrigation from the sprinkler lines, and then we have some that are partial conversions. So our sprinklers that water the lawns also water some of our raised beds. So we'll just kind of give you a tour of those things that we have here in the gardens, and then also just kind of show you all the things that we use for our drip. Some things that we've used that are really great, and some things that we use that I don't recommend, but I'm going to show you all of it. So when we first started with our drip, we started with a 1/2-inch black tube. It's just polyurethane drip tubing that you can get at pretty much any big store, box store, or online. We bought this from Drip Depot. This is what we use on our farm at the lavender, and we directly put the drip, the flag drippers into this line. But here in our gardens, we use the 1/2-inch line and as our main line, and then we hook in a 1/4-inch drip line that has perforations every 6 inches. So this is the hose that we currently use on most of our beds, and we are trying to get all of our beds on this hose because it's the best that we've used. We started out with a drip hose that is a soaker hose. You can't really tell, there are tiny little holes all throughout this. It's kind of a rough texture, and as you turn it on, the water just soaks through and it sprays out these tiny little holes. The problem that I have with this is that it's super easy to break. I can rip it, it just gets caught in everything, and then also the holes, because they're so tiny, I think they get plugged. This rots easily in the sun. This is the soaker hose, and I don't recommend having the soaker hose. So this is what we're replacing in a few of our beds. We don't have a lot of it, but I definitely recommend replacing it with this that is a solid tube, except for the little holes that are every 6 inches. So we also have another tube that's similar to this one. It's a tube that has 6-inch holes every 6 inches, but it doesn't have this little protection. You can see that it kind of bows out right here. It's got a little plastic thing in there that holds that hole open. And so you want to look for this for your drip tubing, because this works. This does a really good job, but I think that this one works just a little bit better. So in comparison, so you can see this one's just a straight, and it works just fine. If you can only find that, then definitely go with this one over the soaker hose. But you can kind of see how that bows out just a little bit every 6 inches so that hole can stay open. And this is also called soaker tubing, so be careful what you're buying. The names on them, this is not a soaker hose, it's soaker tubing. So it's not got as many tiny little holes as the soaker tubing, but it just has the holes every 6 inches, and it's pretty much solid. It's kind of like a tubing that you would use for a swamp cooler or that kind of polyurethane little 1/4-inch drip system. Anyway, so some of the drips that we use and that I recommend or don't recommend, we have both the drip that comes out of this. I don't know if this has Usually on the drip, it'll tell you how many gallons per hour it will drip. I know that this gray one is a flag dripper, and it drips every, it's like a half gallon per hour. And this one, I believe, is a gallon per hour. It doesn't say on it though. So you can see the difference. I found, we have these up at our lavender, and I found that with our watering systems, they don't do a really great job, because our water, we have really hard water, and it gets clogged a lot. So I'm often going through to flick out the hard water, and that, when you own a farm or a very large garden, you can't be doing that every day. So try and find ones that are more like the sprinkler head, or a bigger drip that allows more of that hard water to flow through, so that it's not just getting caught and you're having plugging problems. So they also have flag dripper heads that are different. I think we only have the half gallon. They have different sizes of flag heads. So some of them are gallon, some of them are half gallon. I think half gallon, it might go down to a quarter gallon. I'm not quite sure. But make sure that you're finding something that can deal with your water specifically. They also have filters. So if you do have a hard water problem, you can put in a filter. But my hard water problem is such that even when I put in a filter, it's still a problem. And then the filters become a problem, so I don't deal with filters. I have them, I've used them, don't care for them. Okay, so for the exact, I'm just going to show you. So this is what we use for most of our raised beds here in the gardens. We have a drip block conversion that takes the piping of the drip irrigation, and also has the threads that it needs to connect to a hose, or to a sprinkler system that's already set up. And you want something that's going to lock in there, sometimes like a shark bite type tool or connection. It has little teeth in there that grip onto the tube so that it doesn't blow off with all that water pressure. Okay, so with our sprinkler set up here in the raised beds, we would connect our whole tube to this, and we actually have one connected up there that I'll show you. And then take this tip and screw it onto your timer, or directly to your hose if you want to control it manually. I have a timer because I need this to come on early in the morning. Like at 3 o'clock in the morning is when they turn on, because I like to have the sprinklers done by early in the morning so that I can come out and not be gardening in the sprinklers. So there are many different timers that you can use. I use a very basic one that just has a day and a time. So you hook up your half-inch hose into your drip connector, connect it to your timer, and then connect the timer to your faucet or your hose. And that's basically it. Now from the drip, we take our hole punch. It's got a nice, this is to slice open the tube. And then it's got this hole punch that you punch in a hole. Now you've got a nice little hole there. And you can put in any kind of connector. So we have T connectors if we need to branch off in more than one direction. We have straight connectors that go straight out if you need to just connect your hose to that, and that's mainly what we use. We also have a few elbow connectors. Barbed elbow. But I haven't even opened this because I have never needed to use an elbow, but I have them just in case. If you need to just go in one direction, that could be helpful. but mainly we use the straight ones, and I have a lot of those. So I push in. This helps to have gloves on at this point to push these in. They're barbed so that they can't come back out. You want to push it in until it clicks, and then you have a little connection ready to go onto your 1/4 inch drip. So you take a section of this, however long you need for your garden bed, the length of your garden bed, and you put it on to the other end of that barb. And you want to make sure that it is going all the way through so it won't come off when the water comes through, because water pressure can blow many things on. So you want to take your time, make sure you've got a straight cut so that it's not coming down lower on one side, and then you want to be able to see that it bows out where the barb comes through. Anyway, and then you run the rest of the tubing all the length of your garden bed, and then you want to put a plug on at the end. Take the plug off of this. So the plugs can look like this, which is just a little barbed plug that goes into the end down here. And you can remove these. You can use them again if you have put them on a drip tubing that you don't prefer, which is what I've been doing. And then you've got your whole little system here in your drip tubing. Now, there are other ends to help close off these kind of figure 8 looking things. And this is a size for a 1/2 inch tube. But what you do is you slide it on one end, bend it over. You're going to have to go all the way down. Bend your tube, and then push it back up. Lavender farm. And it just goes over the bent pipe like that and kinks it off. Those are the 2 plugs that I have experience with. I'm not sure if there are others. Yeah, I think that's about it for our little demonstration here. I'll show you, we've got some 1/2 inch hose that we already have that's going through our entire garden bed that I need to connect to today with the 1/2 inch hose, and I'll show you kind of that process. On this spigot, we are going to add our filter. We have some pretty bad water that we deal with. I've pulled fish and crawdads and all sorts of crazy things out of our main filter in the water. So we also add a secondary filter and sometimes a tertiary filter. So onto this, going to be adding our timer. This is basic, just basic timer. Any garden store would have something like this. Okay, so for our system, we've got from our faucet, we've got our filter. And to the filter, we've got our timer. To the timer, we have, I believe this is a Shark Bite brand connection. It's a 1/2-inch polyurethane connection to a female end hose connector. So just screw that on. You can actually just connect this straight, as we need to have a timer on ours and a filter. We're going to connect this not straight. We're going to have a few different connectors here. Timer I'm going to set to every other day for 60 minutes. And that's it. Okay, we've turned on our drip, and I've got a leak here, but I didn't put that cap on very well. Just wanted to see. We got water coming out of this one that needs to be plugged off. And then the line is running all the way down. Obviously, I've got some, you see that? Pew! That hose got ripped off. So I can see which hoses need to be replaced, which ones need to be recapped. And obviously, I'll be straightening those out as I replace the hoses. We've got some drip that are hooked up to flag ends so that they can water our pots, like this one. It's connected over the hoop. Everything's just getting sprayed right now. But now I can go through and see what needs to be replaced, what needs to be capped off, what hoses are broken, what hoses are missing, like that one, which ones are clogged, need to just be replaced completely, and see if the soaker end, got some things to clean up. But look at this asparagus. Isn't that pretty? It's so big. If our new hose ends are looking out, you can see that the soaker hose sometimes just drips, sometimes it sprays, and that can be totally normal depending on your soaker. For this one, it's totally normal to have little sprays coming out. This soaker hose is not working at all. I can see that it's completely dry for the most part. Even though it's getting water that's coming in, I can see it's just got some issues. It's probably clogged. And then over here, I've got a hole right there that I need to plug off. You can tape those up or you can plug them off. I just want to see if the water is coming through here. I can see it's coming, like getting all of that wet. So that's good. And it should be coming out here, the end of our pots, which that's good. It's also connected to our trees down here. So each of these trees has a ring. So what I mean by that, so we've got a main tube going all the way along this line of trees. But then from each of the 1/2 inch, we've got a 1/4 inch that goes around, and it's got emitters all around it. I think 3 on each tree. So I need to go through and make sure all of those emitters are working. And that's possibly because we've got hoses that are missing and the pressure is not enough to get down here. That's possible. And I didn't turn it all the way on. So, got some connections to make, some hoses to replace, some plugs to put in. Hey chickies. You keeping warm in the sunshine? Okay, we have new drip tubes going down in our south beds. So we've got carrots, beets, and sugar snap peas already planted. We've got onions down here. This is my next bed to tackle. So before, after, so much better. We have walkways. These are mining belts that we use just as little pathways. They're cut into strips. They're super thick and they have a little tiny sheet of, or a very thin sheet of metal through them so they don't deteriorate. I can roll them up in the fall and then just move them where I need them next year, because as I rotate my garden, I also have to move these sometimes. So that's what that is. Yep, this is my next bed. Ready, set, go. Snap. Okay, we've got all the drip attached. We're going to turn this baby on. On full stream. Okay, I forgot to do those ones. Oop, got a geyser. Man, you never win.
Can I get right in the geyser?
Okay, so I left the drip on all night just to kind of get an idea of what is getting watered and where. So you can see that this area is getting watered, but that area down there is not. And the drip should, because it was on all night, should have soaked in from both sides and watered there. I left some of the soaker hose on because I ran out of the drip line that we're replacing it with. But as you can see, that the soaker hose that was left is not working at all. Even after hours of soaking, it should be soaking wet like over here, but it's just not. So we're going to be replacing that hose, taking it all the way out, all of it in the entire yard, and just replacing it with the drip line that has the emitters every 6 inches, the emitter holes every 6 inches. It's just a better option, at least as far as we've found. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and subscribe for more. We love to do gardening videos and show you our farm and recipes and crafts and everything that we do here at Sweet Olive Farms. Talk to you later. Bye.